Married men on Reddit. What's something that happened that you cannot confess to your wife? My normally cute wife survived breast cancer a couple years ago. During the bald stretch, she got new glasses with thick black frames, and she kept reminding me of someone, but I couldn't figure out who. Finally hit me. Benny Hill's sidekick. I took a vow of silence on that one, let me tell you. You're a gentleman and a scholar. Oh, I'm sorry. My mistake. That was a woman I was talking to, so she had a very low voice. My friends White went through the same thing. During the bald stretch she always wore a bandana or some other covering, and she rocked it. Now she has really short hair and it looks so cute. But of course I'll never tell her that since she'll punt me to next week. I have a mild collection of swords. We used to have one hanging over the bed. One night my wife is in one of those weird sleeps where every part of her is hanging off the bed. Apparently the hooks the sword was hanging on were kind of flimsy because I slammed the door trying to be funny and scare her awake. The sword did a weird little bounce, slid out of the sheath, and stuck itself into the floor, missing her head by less than an inch. I and my heart paused for all of 60 seconds, only to realize she was still asleep. I quickly moved the sword into my office. When she asked why I moved it, I said the hooks were close to breaking and didn't want it to fall on anyone. She only recently noticed the hole in the carpet and assumed our metal bed frame did it. That would have been one hell of a freak accident. I still have panic attacks just thinking about having to explain this to her family and/or the police. Glad to hear she's okay, Damocles. My wife and I will buy hard-to-find craft beers on road trips and store them in the basement. My wife forgets about what we buy sometimes, so I drink them alone when she is not home, so I don't have to share. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Can I come over around 5 on Saturday? Got an extra space? In need of a beer. Sneaky. Haha. I was raped and I will never tell my SO out of embarrassment and humiliation. I told a girl I was dating once when I was comfortable enough and she laughed it off. I've told 3 people Earl and this thread now. Don't feel embarrassed or humiliated at all. A disgusting person did something bad to you, you did nothing wrong. Tell your SO and if they aren't a total assbag they will love and support you still. Fuck your ex. If your so is a good so, she will never react that way. That's literally the opposite of what the poster should do. Please don't cheat on your partner with your ex. I think you may have misunderstood his comment. When I was on a road trip a month ago, I stopped at Walmart and felt compelled to buy 10+ pairs of panties, along with a bra and some cute women's clothes. Since then, I now try the clothes on regularly, and I continue to buy more at a local thrift shop. I wear the panties every day, and that's why I haven't undressed in front of her this past month. I mean, I've tried some of my wife's clothing maybe 2 times over the past decade due to curiosity, but I am still surprised by my recent actions. I'm nearing 40, so I'm figuring this is probably a midlife crisis, and am unashamedly rolling with it. I usually tell my wife everything, but she's big into strict gender roles and probably couldn't handle this right now. My thought is that it's probably just a phase and it's not worth bothering her. Don't you regret asking your question? Can't wait for season 3 of Mindhunter. Sorry dude, it's been delayed indefinitely. Don't say these things. I'm sensitive right now, okay? I used to watch every episode of Lost without her as I couldn't wait until the weekend. Then I had to be all, well, I am shocked at that revelation every damn episode. I pre-listen to podcasts and only put episodes on in the car for her that I think she'll like. It's gotten to the point where she knows I do it sometimes, but I don't think she realizes that it's pretty much every podcast. I had sex with the girl she hates in the past, before we made it official. They glare at each other 24/7 when they run into each other. They stop in place and glare at each other for a week straight. Sorry. I have clients that are about 90% female and some are attractive and single, and we meet regularly, and so naturally it's very difficult to avoid the chemistry build-up, and there's absolutely nothing to be done about it. God knows I've tried a myriad of ways to kill the feels, but they're just inevitable as my job involves a lot of getting to know someone, and you get drawn into their lives incidentally. Anyway, I've had to actually cut some of the clients off them due to that, and it has sucked because I've lost both some regular income and a good person out of my life, thing get wee bit precarious. If the wife knew the full picture of how nice some of these girls are, she'd demand I quit, and I don't know how to do other jobs, so when she asks me I tell her the only women I assist are mostly old ladies with a bit of disposable income and a lot of free time. A tall tale, but one I'm forced to stick with or else find another career. If you are cool with answering, what is your job? Escort by the sounds of things. No, they have higher standards of professionalism. Sounds like a massage therapist. The times I have had my faith, fidelity, tested. You want to straight up brag that you didn't cheat, but there's no good way to. I've had opportunities that I can't talk about without looking suspicious or gloating bragging. What's worse is that she thinks I'm cheating, or is at least jealous of the possibility the relationship before her was an open relationship, and we are on two different planes in how we see sex, so she gets suspicious, but I have been on my best behavior. I'm proud of myself because it's not easy for me, I can't really talk to anyone else about it because it's the expectation of relationships. I don't expect a pat on the back, but I think about sex constantly and completely turned my life around for her and our daughter, and I consider it a large amount of restraint. It won't come across that I'm faithful, it come across like I'm surrounded by girls and it's just a matter of time. When she starts up with why you hanging out with them and whatnot, I just bite my lip. No, she isn't on Reddit, and she won't know my username anyway. I just don't ever have the opportunity to say it out loud. Fidelity, not faith. I thought you went through some religious persecution shit for a minute. Haha. Good call, that's what I meant. I slept with her sister while we were dating. That's fucked up. That's beyond fucked up. Plus, what the hell kind of sister fucks her sister's boyfriend? Sometimes my sister pisses me off so much I want to strangle her, but the thought of sleeping with someone she's dating is disgusting to me. Yeah, I know what you mean, and if someone who's supposed to be that close to you can do something like that, then there's nothing they wouldn't do to you. Cheated on her when we were dating. Didn't even want to, was just hanging out with some girl I knew liked me, as her friends had told me, so goes to show I was young and stupid. When I went to drop her off, I just kissed her as she was literally waiting for it, instead of going into her place and doing anything really regrettable. I didn't know I was gonna marry her at the time, still doesn't make it any less bad, and I still don't know why I did this. It's one of those things that would breach trust if you'd ever say it. There would be no benefit in telling her now. That was all the way back in college. Some things are better just left alone, like this. We don't have any serious issues and never have, so this will never be told to her. Yeah, I learned that the hard way. Some things are best to keep quiet. Yeah, those are the lessons that actually stick though. Sorry to hear that regardless. Becoming gay. I like to cross-dress. I understand you want to keep this from your wife, this is your secret to keep, but as someone with a lot of cross-dressing friends, I realize a lot of trans, cross-dress, cosplay, etc. dressers don't use dance belts. All I'm here to say is get yourself a dance belt and live your best life. Thank you, I'm planning on it. I once accidentally picked up a prostitute. So I was driving home at rush hour, and while sitting at a red light, I see a random woman on the side of the road appearing extremely distraught, completely sobbing. So I pulled over to try and be a good Samaritan, but when I asked if she was okay, she cryingly said yes, and she only needed a lift. When she finally got in the car, she was still kinda crying, but was starting to calm down a bit. So I'm prodding, trying to find out what happened to this poor girl. Turns out she's a prostitute, and the customer she just fucked was about to pay her, but then just forced her out of his car and drove away. So then she totally changed her manner, turned to me, and said, "So, is there any way I can thank you for the lift?" Never before in my life did so much disgust hit me as in that moment. I politely declined. Worst of all is that on my drive home, I had to also pick up my wife from work. When I finally dropped MRS prostitute off at a gas station she requested, at least a couple miles from where I still needed to pick up my wife, I hand her a couple of bucks for a bite to eat and basically need speeded the fuck out of there. That was over 6 years ago. I've never picked up a hitchhiker since. I wonder if that whole thing was a ruse. I doubt it was. She looked really worried. I don't think you could fake that. But hey, you might be right too. So then she totally changed her manner, turned to me and said, "So, is there any way I can thank you for the lift?" Never before in my life did so much disgust hit me as in that moment. Perhaps bear in mind that damaged people like prostitutes will react in the way that they know how, as a coping mechanism or way of dealing with the situation in front of them. Prostitutes use sex. It wasn't really her fault. You should not have felt disgust, just sorry for her. Prostitutes are all damaged one way or another, whether they choose to admit it or not. That's one of the reasons they do what they do. The level of denial about this amongst sex workers is pretty severe. You should not have felt disgust, just sorry for her. This is not a choice. I don't have a choice whether I feel disgust in the moment. The fact that she just had sex with God knows who is a random person with God knows what diseases, offering to touch me. How do I prevent the disgust in this scenario? I always have to double check her birthday because I usually get it mixed up with a date about 3 days before her birthday. My husband also does this. My day is December 30, but he always thinks it's the 27th. Weird. Seems easy to just remember it's the day before New Year's Eve. Naive.